So in the very next stanza, that is stanza 5, there is an obvious reference to morning, right? And that's why the fifth stanza begins, the breezy call of incense breathing morn. So gradually the morning must come. And here it says it is the incense breathing morn. Can you imagine that? There is a morning coming. Morning is coming with its fragrances, the fragrances from the trees. Do you remember the poem Ode to Autumn? I don't remember that whether it was in your syllabus or not. Into autumn, yes, it was in your syllabus. In autumn, there are the multiple references of the flowers, but Keats is deliberately referring to the fragrances, the heavy laden, you see, the fragrant flowers and the valleys where the fragrances are coming down. So do you not find that somehow Gray is writing these poems and it is Keats who is just taking the images, taking the ideas, taking the emotions that Gray is describing in Elegy in Country Churchyard, and Keats had wrote all these, Keats had read all these things, and somehow he kept all the ideas in mind, and while he is writing his autumn and other odes, he is deliberately using such kind of images. Yes, those are the images that have been created by Gray in elegies, and now it is my time that I can write these things, right? So the same kind of images and same kind of temperaments have been used here. So what it says, the breezy call of incense breathing morn. Again, you will find it's a kind of a personification because the term breathing is there. Okay, incense breathing. Do you not find that obviously it is referring to that somehow the pattern of fragrances that is heavily laden in the air, it actually literally means that. But somehow when there is a reference to breathing, somehow some incorporations of human or human attributes being pasted on the descriptions of the morning itself. The breezy call, while the gentle breeze is blowing, and it is carrying the incense, it's carrying the fragrance. Okay, in O2 Nightingale, the same kind of thing has been incorporated. The breezy call of incense breathing morn, the swallow twittering from the straw-billed shade. Again, the sound impact, you see, onomatopoeic sounds, twitter, right? Twitter better. Okay, so the breezy call of incense breathing morn, the swallow is a bird obviously here, twittering from the straw-billed shade. Again, another impact. Straw-billed shade, that is the nest being referred here as from the shades actually. The swallows are twittering. The cock's shrill clarion. Okay, probably the term you have in your mind. Clarion, this very term was used by Shelley in Ode to the West Wind, when the azure sister of spring shall blow her clarion over the dreaming earth. So clarion is a musical instrument that was probably related to warfare, right? So when there is a clarion is being orchestrated or maybe played, it indicates that the troop of soldiers must begin a journey towards, say, fight, towards probably the war, right? And here, as we have already found in Shelley's Ode to the West Wind, that clarion, this particular musical instrument, is being considered as something positive, right? Because it brings some positiveness to you, because the spring will blow the clarion. So here, the cock's sounds, the roostering sounds of the sounds of the cock with a shrill clarion, he is literally using that. So who wrote first, Gray or Shelley? Obviously Gray, because it is the transitional poetry that we are reading at this moment. And the same kind of imagery, the same kind of image, the same musical instrument is being used by Shelley later. So that's why deliberately I'm referring to the cross references. Okay, and it probably will help you to think how the transitional poetry helped the romantic writers to write their poems and and grab the basic temperament of romantic literature and how these are incorporated through their poems. Okay, so that is the fundamental thing that I'm trying to suggest here. The breezy call of incense breathing morn, the swallow twittering from the straw-built shade, the cock's shrill clarion or the echoing horn, that is the hunter's horn probably, no more shall rouse them from the lowly bed. There is the antithesis, obviously. There is the paradox. In the first three lines, you see that there is the reference to life, right? In the first one, there is the breezy call of incense breathing morn. So if it is being conceptualized in terms of personification, where the morning is being, or maybe the genital breezes is being conceptualized or transferred in terms of a human being, of a person. That's why the term breathing is being incorporated or used. In the second line, there is the twittering sound of the swallow bird. Again, that is referring to life. In the third line, there is a reference to cock. Cock's clarion, as if something positive, as if something related to some new life. And so the change is being perceptible. The change is inevitable here. And again, the echoing horn, this very term is being pointed out in the hunter's horn. So all the three lines are referring to one particular image, that is the image of life. Okay, because it is the morning that it takes into consideration, and with the morning, that is the morning comes to life, and life is being reciprocated, or life is being conceptually being used in the all the three lines of stanza 5. But immediately in the fourth line, there is a kind of change. What kind of change? No more shall rouse them. Who are them? They are those forefathers, quote unquote forefathers. You see that whose mentioning we can trace in stanza 4, because they are dead, because they are within the grave, because they are in the cemetery, because they are under the mouldering heap that is being pointed out. So what it suggests, that in spite of the liveliness, in spite of the patterning of life that have been taken into consideration, somehow the last line of the fifth stanza, it indicates the failure of life, or failure of making the dead persons alive. So what it says, no more shall rouse them from the lowly bed. Here lowly bed refers to the grave again. So somehow, as I've already suggested, that we are reading an elegy. We are reading a pattern of poem somehow that is associated with some loss. Death must have to be considered as an important ingredient in the elegies. So whenever you are reading these poems, there must have to be the references of the death. And here, where life and death has been placed side by side, which one is winning over the other one? So ultimately, in spite of referring to the matters of life, you have to identify the failure of life, because the death is being commemorated, because the dead have been commemorated. That is the primary focus of this poem, that is elegy, because it is an elegy. We are reading an elegy. So the basic temperament of elegy has to be in the images, has to be in the description of all these things. So what it finds, that stanza 5 ends with, no more shall rouse them from their lowly bed. Then in the immediate stanza, that is stanza number 6, it begins with the same temperament, same tendency of elegiac loss oblique death. Okay, it begins, for them no more the blazing hearth shall burn. You see that you have already gone through Ulysses by Tennyson. There also the reference to the hearth. There was the reference to the typical flame. Okay, And as I've already suggested, that wherever there is a reference to the hearth, wherever there is a reference to the flame in that is the fire within the fire palace, it refers life. It refers warmth, because where there is warmth, there is life. Where there is warmth, that signifies the people are alive. What it suggests here, it says, "For them no more the blazing hearth shall burn." What it means? The blazing hearth is referring to life. The blazing hearth is referring to the warmth, and it actually indicates toward the not only light, not only life, not only the warmth, not only not only the other things, but rather it is signifying that is the mutual relationships between the human beings in general. It says, "For them no more the blazing hearth shall burn." The life, the warmth, the temperamental attributes, the temperature, everything, it will not burn, because everything has got cold, because they are dead. So the death is lurking everywhere, you see, in each and every kind of images, each and every kind of descriptions. You will find that death, the presentation of death, is always omnipresent, because it is an elegy again. And we are reading an elegy. So you cannot negate the basic elegiac temperament in these poems. So for them, no more the blazing hearth shall burn, or busy housewife ply her evening prayer. Here the term ply actually refers to apply. So the busy housewife, it is obviously referring to the familial, cozy life, you see. And it says, "For them no more the blazing hearth shall burn, or busy housewife ply her evening care." Because when they were alive, when the people were alive, the housewives were engaged in such kind of evening care, because it was associated with their domesticity, with their familial life, with their life altogether, you see. And somehow, as the people are dead, so the attributes of the housewives are not being in incorporation, obviously. So for them, no more the blazing hearth shall burn. Okay, or busy housewife ply, that is apply her evening care. No children run to lisp their sire's return. Lisp, this very term, is always associated with the children. You see, the lisping sounds, you see, it actually signifies the half-uttered sounds. But it says, "No children run to lisp their sire's return." It indicates that somehow whenever the people, that is the persons who are dead, the aged persons who are dead at the present instant, when they were engaged in their activities, that is the professional activities. So the people were, there is the children, obviously, sorry, but the children, they were waiting for their forefathers to come, and they were lisping, they were uttering the half uttering sounds, and they were waiting for their sire, that is father's return, right? That whenever the father will return from the field, from their work, from their profession or professional parts, somehow they will climb his knees and in